This episode of Capes of Lunatics Sidekicks is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
What about our Quasar podcast, The Quantum Zone?
Oh, I sound like a dork.
Wendell Vaughn, the first Earthman ever created to protector the universe, bonded to the energy-transforming quantum bands that were both weapons and symbols of his station. He fought an ongoing battle to defend all life in the universe from cosmic evil as Quasar. Welcome to the Quantum Zone. That's right, episode 32. We're closing out the year with Avengers issues and then some early appearances. I am Phil. That hip manly guy you just heard is?
I'm Will. Okay. Hey, everyone.
And the master of all things internet. See him all over YouTube.
Yeah, all around. What about our Quasar podcast?
Hey, Lil Hellfire loves that draw, man. She keeps asking me, she's like, hit it again. I'm like, okay, well, I'll promote the Quantum Zone on all my okay.
Works.
She's the drop queen. I saw her on Facebook saying, asking about the quantum tentacles of the.
Oh yeah, because of the first episode of our Captain Marvel special drop with Matt and myself. Yeah.
It would be nega tentacles anyway.
That's what I said. I said
sparkly quantum tentacles.
From our review of what was that issue 6 of Quasar? Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, where should we begin?
We've got voicemail. We've got other stuff to talk about before we get to the issue, right?
Yes. Well, here, I'll pull up the voicemail. We got a voicemail. Soshin, is that you watching? He kind of went back on what he said. Well, he's like, oh, okay, he had a question, but he's like, okay, I kind of figured it out. But I thought it'd be interesting, just, our almost since we began, we've had our number one fan, Soshin, and now, listeners, you get to hear him in his own voice. So, here, let me play this.
Phil, hey, this is Soshan. I'm calling about the Quasar podcast you guys got. I don't know what to say, but I think I got a no prize. I guess I'll start off with that one first. If you go issue number 2 at the very end. Oh, I'm sorry, issue number 3 at the very end, when Wendell's dad's talking to Eon, Wendell's dad said that not to bother him right now. He's talking to Eon about what was it, Glenn Condra, the first cosmic champion he appointed. But then later on in the series, in issue number 27, you have Quasar talking to, he's fighting the 3 previous owners of the quantum band, and it was established then that Stringian Starbender was the original protector of the universe. So I don't know exactly what was going on with that. So I think it's a no prize. But anyways, my question is, how would you rate Quasar all in all as a protector of the universe? What would you grade him as? And the longest time I was super pissed, and I'd give him a 5 because I think ultimately he had failed in his role. And it wasn't until years later that I reread the whole series several times. And to me, because it was that ultimately Eon died throughout the as he was the appointee. Eon had been alive for 8 billion years and countless number of protectors in the meantime. But Eon died on his watch. So, but then after rereading it, I find out that that wasn't the whole, that was just part of his mission. His real mission was to protect the universe, not necessarily Eon himself. And I guess the way Quasar goes about it kind of says he's Eon's champion, or even Eon himself said that, you're my champion and whatnot. but ultimately he was there to protect the universe. So I guess I'd give him like a 7.5 or so. Just wondering what you guys, your take on it. I love the podcast. I think you guys do an excellent job each week, and just can't wait to see or listen to more. All right, see you guys later on. Bye.
Yes, Soshin,
Cool.
number one Quantum Zone super fan.
Well,
But I think he wrote that later, and he was saying, at first they said it was the star, whatever Starbender was the first quantum band user, but then they said it was like
Glacandra, I think.
Glacandra.
Yeah.
And I think I saw this explanation somewhere before, but I was like, well, yeah, wasn't that like, you have Quasar and you have Wendell Vaughn,
Yeah.
two names for the same character. Maybe it was the same way for that character. And I think Soshin kind of came to that conclusion also. So.
Yeah, and I think I'll have to do a little more research, but I think Lacandra's known as the Stygian Starbender. I think so. I'll have to double check that, but I think that's what it was. But he makes a good point about how successful he was, because I've always I'm going to score him higher, Soshin. I'm sorry, man, but I think he gets a 9 out of 10. But I think Eon, being as old and the cosmic awareness, omniscience at some point, kind of knew that his days were numbered, which is why he, Epoch, he had a little puddling
Offspring.
I don't know whatever Epoch is.
He had an ace up his mossy sleeve.
Yes, he did, to kind of continue on, not necessarily, his life, but the role that he had, taken serving infinity and eternity and all that stuff. So I kind of think, this is the way I see it anyway, that he looked at all the possible outcomes and then tried to move things toward the one where I kind of see Eon as being a little bit heroic in that, look, maybe I have to die, but my role will continue on with Epoch, and the universe will be saved.
Maybe for the universe to live, I have to die. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of think, and I kind of think that's why he chose Wendell, because, Wendell doesn't necessarily like it, but when it, the rubber hits the road, he always does the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm. So in conclusion, Will saying Eon's older than Aunt May. It's his time to die.
Exactly.
But I just love like these translate, when you get a voicemail, it tries to translate it into text. Nobody ever gets it wrong. This is Google voicemail. And I know even with my app on my iPhone, like Apple's isn't much better, because I remember looking at this first and it was like, it says, "Hey Phil, this is S-O, Gene. I'm calling about the freezer package that you guys got." I'm like, well, first I look at this, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, oh wait, it's the Google text. So I listen, and it's like, hey, it's Soshin. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's Google text. And it's not just you, Soshin. Every voice message I've ever seen on any platform, it's always been the same thing. They never gets it right.
The freezer package. That's what we're going to call this thing from now on, is the freezer package.
That should be the when we talk about stuff other than the issue. It's time for the freezer package.
Yeah, this little freezer package at the end of the issue we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
This is the freezer package brought to you by Soshin.
Yeah. Well, a little side note, before the days of transcribing was very commonplace for voicemails and stuff, my boss at my work, he's a real tech guy, so I'd never heard of this before, and he told me, he's like, yeah, this basically, if I get a voicemail, this guy from India just emails it to me so I can see what was read. I don't have to listen to it. So I just used to call him and say, hey, Chris, this is Raj, the guy that transcribes your voicemails. I just think you're a really cool guy, and I hope that one day if I come to America, we can hang out and be friends. The guy transcribing it's been like, this is messed up. What is going on?
I know everything about you. I listened to all your voice.
Yeah. I'm going to address the whether or not to send him a no prize, because I guess I would be in charge of mailing that empty letter. But we're about 15 Quasar issues away from verifying that fact, Soshin. So, we'll have to wait a little bit for the no prize.
That's right.
But I do like your spunk.
Isn't
Stay
that like
tuned.
isn't that like around Infinity War or Infinity Gauntlet? So you could be like, Conan, it's time for my no prize.
Yeah, we'll cash it in then. But Soshin, thank you for calling. And by the time this episode airs, I hope you're already enjoying a try. I hope you bought the trade for Cosmos and Collision, and you got that in the mail because it's out by now.
Yeah, it is for I think the comic shops, but not necessarily.
No, but
Amazon.
Us listening, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
By the time
that's
this hits the podcast, it'll be after
It'll
the
be out.
23rd.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Not thinking temporally.
Excellent. Think in the future. Come on.
You're too linear.
Too linear. Dang it. Oh, the Captain Marvel podcast you guys did. We should mention that. That was awesome. I listened to it last Friday, I guess, when it dropped. Is that when it dropped? Last Friday?
It dropped Thursday, yeah. So you might have heard it Friday, but yeah. Thank you. Yeah, me and Matt discussed Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, and there's gonna be more coming in November. Me and Charlie are gonna be talking about Monica Rambeau, and then December? Will and I are gonna talk Gina Spell.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
And then in
Awesome.
January, me and Matt again, we're going to be talking to Kelly Thompson, who's going to be a Marvel writer, who's going to be writing the new Captain Marvel series with Carol Danvers.
Very cool.
Cool. And Phil, I did pick up a couple of those issues that you recommended to me, like the What If, and then the white issue, the Rebirth one, or the Return.
Oh yeah, with the scroll, yeah.
So thanks for that.
Yeah, the episode seemed to be a hit because even and someone else on our podcast network, Diane, hi, she was like, "What's that book you recommended?" It was The Life of Captain Marvel, where that reprinted that big fight with him and Thanos.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Since Thanos was Thanos, some of you may have heard of this character.
Who are you talking about? I don't think I know of that. Thanos, is that how you pronounce that?
I don't know who that character is. But yeah, he was the threat that Marvel was appointed to combat as protector of the universe.
And he took care of him, took care of business.
Right.
Except Thanos kind of came back. So
he did.
So let's pat ourselves on the back. Good episode, guys.
Yeah.
Good episode. Here's a virtual pat on the back, guys. There you go.
Better than a no prize.
Thanks, Will.
All right, let's jump into this because the issue tonight that I have current news on one of the characters in here.
Let's plunge into
underwater episode. He's back, people. All right, so we're talking Avengers 319, The Crossing Line, Part 1. And as Matt hinted, it's underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that there are waves in the Crossing Line logo?
Yes. Are those waves, or is that the bottom of Avengers Island?
Oh, good point. It could be either.
Even though it's not around at this point, but
yeah.
So, the big title page, Part 1, the Waterwind Interdiction from these were twice a month, so early July 1990.
And
Fabian,
Quasar's the biggest Avenger on the cover. So that's cool.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But writer Fabian Nicieza, who me and Lilith talked to, scroll down, and I will be talking to again because he's currently the co-writer on Nightwing. So,
that's a great episode. I enjoyed that too for patent backs.
if you want to, so if you want to see my next chat with Fabian Nicieza, you could watch it live on YouTube October 30th.
Cool.
Richard Levins, penciler, Christopher Ivy, inker, Bill Oakley, letterer, Renee Witterstatter,
I think.
Witterstatter. There's a lot of letters in that last name. Colorist, Howard Mackey, editor, and Tom DeFalco, of course, editor-in-chief. And we even get you got the headshots on wrong headshots on the cover because you get Thor and Iron Man on the cover. They're not in this issue, but the first page gives you the right ones. I got Captain America, Vision, Cersei,
some
Quasar,
guy with a headband, yeah,
and Stingray, who, as I was telling the guys, was in last week's Avengers #9. And he was in the first couple pages. He gets into a confrontation with Namor, who I guess is back to like evil emo-y ways. He's wearing like that black costume again. And it's kind of off panel, but he kind of has some sharks chomp on Stingray. So I don't know if Stingray's dead or not. Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, not confirmed, but them might have been the end of Stingray. Poor our aquatic friend. But like I said, it was off panel, so they could say, "Oh no, he was just really injured or something," or you know, someone else might put that costume on eventually because it's all in the costume.
Barry, let's see. I want to talk about the heads that are lined up.
Barry, let's see. That's subtle, man. Very subtle.
Barry, let's see.
The heads lined up. I mean, Captain America looks very bored, like he caught him in a candid moment. Vision just looks like Vision. Cersei looks extra sassy, and then and Quasar just kind of looks like he's like, "Yeah, I'm finally here. I'm
I'm under Cersei. Oh yeah,
yeah." And then Stingray, were you gonna say something? Well,
yeah, go ahead, man.
I just think that I know Stingray's not in the Avengers at this point; he's just kind of associated with them, but. I think that they call for years Iron Man was called Shellhead. Well, how hasn't Stingray gotten the nickname Shovel Face? Because
that's the shovel.
Yeah, maybe it's a Stingray's tail, but I don't know. Shovel Face to me. I don't know.
Or what's that arrow on your face pointing to?
Yeah. Oh.
All right, so like you said, the issue begins. The Atlantic Ocean, 250 kilometers from the coast of Iceland. The Royal Navy submarine Waterwind is foundering, and then we get another box that says 27 hours and counting. To what? We hear the crew. Ballast tanks are blown, Admiral. Emergency power now. Aye, sir. Switching to diesel generators. And controls are just exploding. Tactical's down, active's down, passive is gone. Then we see an admiral. This is Admiral Rickard. Communications, contact command central. Code alert, Delta Mar 6. Tell them we're coming up, but it doesn't look like we're going back down. Then we see a helicopter.
Yeah.
The ICP helicopter. Can I get a whoop whoop?
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
So
oh wait, are those Russian whoops? Because it does say translated from the Russian. Sorry, I jumped ahead.
Yeah.
Well, no, we see guys speaking Russian because it tells us translated from Russian. Fast and tight. Avoid
Which is an editor's note.
Yes, Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the language you're seeing is Russian. Oh, wrong button. Okay.
There we go. Yes, translated from Russian, and that's by Howard Mackey, I assume.
I guess. But yeah, they're saying fast and tight, avoid shooting once we're inside. And guys inside are yelling, Mayday, Mayday, need air. You hear some, and then, oh, what's going on? So some Scottish guy gets shot, or what was that? Oh, no, English. English.
They're British.
They are British, yes. Because we do get it. Don't we get a guest appearance by the Queen?
Yeah. And
no, it's the Prime Minister, I think. Yes.
I think is that supposed to be Margaret Thatcher?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Prime Minister. It's not the.
Yeah, we could also tell a little earlier that one of the bubbles was get more extinguishers here. So,
it's no angler, but yes, we got Russians versus British here. So the Russians are getting in the sub. Stroke we are not here to kill 140 men. No, we're here to kill 140 million or save the same amount, comrade. Control center ahead. The anesthetic canisters in the air vents now. And one of the Russians yells in English, do not move. What is the meaning of this? Quiet, please. As they hold the crew at gunpoint. And one guy pulls off his mask. One of the Russians says, I am General Major Ilyich Prokvich. This vessel has been secured by the Peace Corps. Shouldn't that be CORPS and not CORPSE?
I think that's a pun he's making. The Peace Corps.
Okay.
They're going to be killing a lot of people.
We have peace in our name, but we leave dead bodies in our wake.
That's right.
Oh, wake. Another water joke.
Put up.
I thank you for your assistance, comrade Allenson. Allenson, you helped them? Of course. The only way so many systems could have malfunctioned at once is through sabotage. But why? And the Russian says, we're here to save the world, Admiral. And how do you propose to do that? Through great sacrifice, sir. And as the Admiral's hitting a button, the Russian shoots him and says, beginning with your own. And
blew a raspberry at him. Yeah, he totally just blew
well, that's what it looks like.
him.
It's gotten dead. I'm sorry, I'm laying down on the job. So he says, beginning with your own, and shoots him. He has alerted the Royal Navy. It is only a matter of hours before we are located. I had hoped to do this cleanly, quietly, but it appears such hopes are quite dashed. So that's when we switch. Oh man, I'm on the wrong screen. Okay. So that's when we switch to Parliament building, London, 26 hours and counting.
Is that Greenwich Mean Time?
I'm trying to remember. Did they say Greenwich Mean Time at some point in this series?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I reread it like shortly.
Okay, I've been trying to do one at a time, so I'm fresh. But
yeah,
I can't remember unless that was another story I'm thinking of. But
yeah, I don't know.
Madam Prime Minister, we can have the RAF scrambled in on her in less than an hour. And she says, I would not seek to act so rashly, Mr. Hopkins. Have the terrorists made any demands yet? No, madam. They are in possession of one of only 5 nuclear-powered Resolution-class submarines in our fleet. What is the vessel's complement armament, Mr. Jackern? 13 officers, 130 ratings, 16 Polaris SLBMs, Cataline warheads. I see, Mr. Waslin. Any hope of alerting our superhuman resources? Who? Excalibur? No, it's WHO, but
yeah. What is WHO? Is that
is it like weird happenings?
Isn't it like Doctor Who? Isn't it like associated with Doctor Who too? Or
I don't know. I thought it was just like a British like shield or something. Or I'm trying to remember. I've only seen them mentioned like in an X-Men issue or two. But yeah, it's like I think they were big in the Excalibur book. Yeah, it's like I think it's like Weird Happenings organization, unless I'm completely off.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
But I think it's like X-Field. Yeah. But yeah, Excalibur, who we talked about two issues before, or 2 episodes before this.
Yeah.
And the one guy says, not appropriate, not available. But the superhuman route may be our best chance. Standard military engagement could prove disastrous. So the Prime Minister says, I see no alternative, gentlemen. Alert Washington and the United Nations. Tell them we need help. Tell them the water wind has been compromised. So superhumans. I wonder who they're going to go to. New York, Avengers Mansion, home to Earth's mightiest heroes. They better be able to live up to that name. 25 hours and counting.
Yeah, they're sitting around Earth's mightiest break room table.
Well, yeah, the new mansion's kind of was still being built, although it was just a hole in the ground last issue. But now, yeah, they actually have some walls and it's like a ceiling. But yeah, they're sitting around a table. You see packing crates in the background behind Captain America.
Yeah.
And so, how did we pick the Avengers for this mission? I guess it's just the ones who showed up because Cap says, well, it looks like we have a quorum, so the meeting can begin. First up, we can report that the mansion's reconstruction is progressing steadily, as is Star Fox's recuperation. See, like I wasn't sure if they had mentioned Star Fox, but yeah, I think this is the last time they mentioned it. But yeah, Star Fox.
Yeah.
Anything we need to be updated on? Quasar and what does he say?
Quasar update his uniform a little bit? It looks like, does he always have those holes on his armpits? Is that I don't know. Maybe just so it can breathe a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It may just be an art error or something. I don't know. Yeah.
But so Quasar, they ask Quasar, he asks Quasar anything, and he says, recently I erected an energy screen around Earth, which will alert me to any extraterrestrial intrusions.
Hey, editor's note. It happened in Quasar number 12.
Or last episode of Quantum Zone.
That's right.
He says, I will, of course, keep the Avengers database fully informed of any such events because he is such a records freak.
He is.
Loves that database.
And Captain America says, Cersei, Vision, and Cersei says, I had a simply marvelous party at my... Was that an intentional pun? Marvelous party?
Maybe.
She says, does that count, Captain dear? And Vision says, I sincerely doubt that your social activities could in any way be construed as an appropriate Avengers of business, Cersei. Cap's like, be that as it may, it's been quiet enough the last few weeks that maybe but then it gets cut off by Peggy Carter. So was it that slow that Cap was like, let's hear about this party? Were people drunk? Did anyone throw up? Were people naked? What's going on?
Isn't Avengers 326 with them at a party with Cersei?
325. Yeah, it's like
325. Okay.
Epilogue to this and the backup stories in these issues.
Yeah, that was the big build in the backup stories. I think I bought the next issue, even though it wasn't related to any of our podcasts, to find out what happened because of that backup story. But we'll get to it.
Yes. So before Cap can ask about the party, Peggy Carter calls and says, Cap, Peggy Carter here. We have a red line call incoming. So Commissioner Gordon's calling? So Cap says, thanks, Peg. Put it through down here. Good afternoon, Mr. President. So just from the art and the year of this issue, that's got to be George Bush Sr., correct?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
He says, Captain America, good to see you, son. Looks like we may need your help here. And Cap says, you only have to ask, sir. I knew this country could count on you. Seems our friends in Great Britain have lost a nuclear submarine. And Cersei, how does one lose such a thing? Things are sketchy on that front, miss. All we know is that you've been granted clearance by the United Nations to take that sub down using any means possible. Keep me informed. Isn't that kind of like weird? It's like, yeah, it's a nuclear submarine, so if you need to smash it, just smash it.
Really hard.
Exactly.
Right on the nuclear weapons part of it.
Just keep me in the loop.
That's what he says. He says, keep me informed of your progress. And Cap says, Peggy, and she says, I've already tried contacting Namor. No response. So Quasar says, we may need more muscle to haul in a loaded sub. What about Thor? And Cap's like, Peggy, and she's like, checking. No answer there either. That seems like Quasar. Does Quasar have a thing for Thor? Because that seems, remember in the Terminator, like, I need Thor. And now he's like, who can we call? Let's call Thor.
Let him smash it with a hammer.
Oh yeah, or let's let have him strike the nuclear sub with some lightning. So Cap says, let's hit the hangar, people. Peggy, one more person to try. Call Walter Newell. He's now at the Groton Laboratories in Connecticut.
Groton, Connecticut. Yeah.
Okay. My Connecticut expert. Thank you.
Yes. New England, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So Quasar says, Stingray, is it wise to involve a non-Avenger in such a potentially delicate matter? And Vision says, without Namor available, we need someone who has underwater capabilities and experience. And I'm assuming it's Cap says, because all we see is the underside of the Quinjet.
Yeah.
Stingray fits the bill, and he's worked with us before. Peg, tell Dr. Newell that our ETA is 10 minutes. Tell him we're sorry for our brusqueness, but the situation demands immediate action. The president said so. And transmit all the information we have on the missing submarine to our onboard computers. I'm on it, Cap. Carter out. And Quasar says, I'm a little worried, Cap. I mean, international terrorism isn't usually our stock in trade. And Cap's like, you're right. And the alarming lack of information doesn't sit well with me either. Frankly, I'm a little worried too.
Okay, hang on. This may just be me, but if I had the quantum bands, I would never ride in anything ever again. Why is he riding in the freaking Quinjet?
Yeah, this is Doctor Strange and Spider-Man in a rent-a-car all over again.
Yeah. Oh, nice callback.
Good lord. But I mean, isn't it? Yeah, but I mean, this way he can like sit back and like take a nap if he wants to, because he's not piloting the Quinjet, or like, and maybe conserve strength, because like, didn't he say his arms get tired if if you're flying with your arms above your head for?
But I mean, if speed is of the essence, why doesn't he just because he can go faster than a Quinjet, right? I mean,
but at this point, did they even say where they're going? Because isn't Peggy just like loading the info into the computer?
Oh, maybe.
Right now, he doesn't know where he's going too.
And he's new. It's all about team building,
I know.
Maybe on the way there, he could find out what happened at Cersei's party and get in on the gossip.
Nice.
True. Yeah. Who spiked the punch bowl and stuff. But no, my whole thing was like, he's like, oh, he seemed like he was worried about the terrorists. I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't you feel more relaxed with terrorists instead of Modred the Blasted Mystic or Max?
Or the Stranger, or Thanos,
yeah, well, I'm not trying to skip it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so far he wasn't there for the Stranger thing. He will be in January.
January.
All right, so now we go back to the Atlantic Ocean. The water wind is operational again. Her ballast tanks have been cleared of the nitrogen crystals used in the sabotage. All electrical systems are nominal. Computers are back online. What an info dump. Most of her problems involved a lots of flashy show and little substance. 23 hours, 42 minutes, and counting. Till what? Well,
gosh, I don't know.
Got to keep listening. So the trader is giving the Russians a tour. This is the missile room. We're packed with Polaris A3, 6 torpedo tubes. They'd be daft to mess with us now, eh? They would be daft not to. And then they switch back to Russian. Kuryeshten, can you operate the system? I believe I can, sir. By bypassing the launch sequences may be difficult but workable. Good, proceed then. General Major! Yes, Mendev. An incoming vessel is attempting to contact us. I'm on my way. Work quickly, Kuryeshten. We may have need of those missiles sooner than we expected. I love this because it's like, oh, you think it's the Avengers, but no, it's not the Avengers.
No.
Comrade, we have an acquisition. Shall I prepare retaliatory measures? Relax. Strokov. Give me an up status report, Mendev. Well, what Strokov said might have been a little curlish, but it was accurate. The craft is approaching at 40 knots and approximately 20 meters in length. I keep losing them on sonar. Why is that? Either I'm completely incompetent or their stealth systems are better than our detection capabilities. Rest assured, I'd opt for the latter.
Yeah, I also like that they have to keep emphasizing the fact that they're Russian by having every one of them refer to each other by name or Russian name
or comrade.
Yeah.
What does this mean, comrade? Well, comrade. And the one guy said, they may be mute. They are hailing us. Unidentified terrorists. We are the People's Protectorate. And in the name of the Soviet Socialist Republics, you are hereby requested to surrender immediately or be blown out of the water. And we'll get introduced to them in a couple pages.
Yeah, he looks like a big Russian Captain America. He's all red. He has a shield. He has a star. And he's next to a guy that looks like Vision crossed with the Silver Surfer at a toga party.
And Crimson Dynamo, who's like their Iron Man, and
Dynamo, Red Guardian, Crimson Dynamo. Oh, I should know. It's a Russian. I should know his name, and I can't remember it right now.
Big guy.
Yeah,
Zangief from Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, that's it. You're right.
Was it like P-Run or Parun or?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Parumpa-pum-pum. Yeah, I don't know. And they have their version of the Vision, and
Vostok. Vostok is
and kind of their version of Cersei.
Yeah.
I like that they didn't like give in to temptation, but like, oh, we have the Russian Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, so let's throw Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor at them. Unless that was the plan, because Thor and Iron Man's heads are in that corner box. So.
That's true.
Unless they were unavailable. Give him Quasar.
Yeah.
They didn't take the kid in space, throw him a bone. But meanwhile, above the ocean surface. The Avengers Quinjet continues its search for the Renegade submarine, 22 hours and counting. Anything yet, Vision? Not as yet, Captain, but having plotted a projected path for the Waterwind based on their last known location, we should be very close to target acquisition. You know, it just hit me with that, how much longer till we get there? And just, no, do you think that when they redid the Vision, they tore him apart and put him back together and he was all white? Was that kind of like their... Were they trying to ape the whole Mr. Data on Star Trek The Next Generation?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, they definitely
made him more logical and like took away his emotions, so he looks more like and he acts more like Data now.
That's an interesting thought. I hadn't considered that.
Look at Vision's word bubbles. If he doesn't use contractions, then maybe he might be onto something.
Because I think didn't John Byrne write the issue, like I think of West Coast Avengers, where they took him apart?
Yeah.
I see you, Byrne. So, but Stingray's joined the group by now. He says the Quinjet systems are more advanced than theirs, Cap. They wouldn't even know we're coming. And Cap says, that's the idea, Stingray. Your briefing on the Resolution class subs has helped also. Thanks for coming on such short notice. Then the Vision says Captain radar imaging identifies 2 crafts. And then Cap says, take us down, Quasar. Oh, I guess Quasar's driving now.
Yeah.
So much for the rest, right?
Well, not under his own power. They took turns.
This is very Star Trek-like because Captain's sort of set back and, he's in the center and then Quasar and Vision are kind of the ensigns doing all the grunt.
And look at the seating arrangement in the Quinjet. Yeah, look, Cap is Picard, Stingray is Riker, and Cersei is Troy. Look at that.
Yeah.
I see you, Nisiza. I should bring this up when I talk to him. Be like, were you good for Star Trek? I definitely was good for Star Trek.
Yeah. Ask him if he was also reading. He was watching Star Trek and reading a lot of Tom L. Clancy. That vibe.
Yeah. Were you hunting for Red October, sir?
Yeah, Red October, Russians. All
right. So, Cap says, take it down. Vision says, cavitation of smaller craft is virtually negligible. The signature on the larger most definitely marks it as the Waterwind. And, well, there's only one way to find out who's in the second vessel. And as they get closer, Quasar says, we have them, Cap, but it looks like there are people outside the second craft. And Vision said, the Waterwind has opened launch tubes. The Waterwind has fired torpedoes. And we see the Russians, like we said, Crimson Dynamo incoming. P-Run and I will handle the closest one. Vostok, I'm quite capable of rendering the second torpedo inoperative, Crimson Dynamo. Because I guess he has power over all, machinery?
I guess, yeah.
I believe that's what they say. So, and Crimson Dynamo's like, oh, so I see. And Cap says, those are the Supreme Soviets. I've run into them once. Yeah, wasn't that Captain America 352 and 353?
I think so. By the way, for our younger viewers, there used to be this thing called the Soviet Union.
Russia.
Which is now Russia. So, it used to be a thing almost 30 years ago.
They were real big into communism.
Yeah. That didn't work out so well.
Then they were standing online for toilet paper. USA.
Now they just want to be friends with you on Facebook.
Yeah.
And help you vote. So Cap says, I'm not sure they can be trusted here. We better stop them from aggravating the situation any further. And so Vision, Quasar, Cersei, and Stingray take off into the water. Vision says, our information on the Supremers is minimal. And Quasar says, no matter what, they're a poor man's version of us. Yeah. And Vision says, nevertheless, Perun is their strongest member and can channel bioelectricity through his axe. So Thor. And Vision calls Vostok Sputnik because that's the name I guess he originally went under. Is a synthezoid like myself who can manipulate all forms of machinery, and Dynamo, as in Crimson Dynamo, His armor is on par with Iron Man's. And Cersei says, who is this beefy specimen? To run, let's see what he can do if I turn the water around him into a plastic alloy prison, which she does. And of course, Battle of the Synthezoids. Vision says, Sputnik, the Avengers are here under the auspices of the United Nations. And he says, I'm called Vostok now. The terrorists responsible for this predicament are Soviet citizens and therefore the responsibility of the Soviet government. I apologize for manipulating your mechanical systems this way, but we must not be deterred. And it looks like, I guess he's throwing Vision's innards around because it looks like a little fist like punching out of the Vision.
Oh, yeah.
And our boy Quasar goes for Crimson Dynamo, puts him in a quantum net. Sir, please don't fight back. Or again, being polite. Sir, please don't fight back, or I have to tighten my photon net. You don't speak English by any chance, do you? And even Crimson Dynamo is like, politeness from American? Well, wonders never cease. Yes, it's Quasar. So yes, he was in a quantum net or
Sparkly quantum tentacle.
Nice.
You don't get all the attention drop wise, Will. So everyone's duking it out, and Quasar said, I guess I was speaking an international language anyway. And meanwhile, Stingray's trying to sneak on the sub. He says, I'm not much use when heavyweights fight like that. Not that I'm complaining. It's a little too wasteful. But I can make myself useful by finding a way onto the water wind and disabling their launch capabilities.
Now, can I just add a little one thing? So
Sure.
Quasar puts him in a net, and then he breaks out. So it went from net to niet.
Russian joke, nice.
All right.
Net to
That's
niet.
it. Back to you, Phil.
Why, thank you. And then in the Russian ship, that looks suspiciously like a red version of some G.I. Joe vehicle. I swear I saw back in the day. Red Guardian, there's anger everywhere. Of course there is. Phantasma, we are engaged in a battle to determine who will then battle a nuclear submarine. Though you be group leader, you would do best to respect my intuition. See, she's like the Troy version. This is so Star Trek: The Next Generation. He says, I am sorry, I do, but can you explain your bio readings further? And she says, only that we are approaching something we shouldn't. We must stop. And Red Guardian calls the Quinjet and says, this is Red Guardian of the People's Protectorate, contacting Avengers Craft. So the whole group's changed their name too, and Cap's thinking, People's Protectorate now. It's like better than calling themselves after a governing body in a time of political turmoil, I guess. Especially a failed one. And he says, this is Captain America. Let's stop this fruitless fighting now. And Phantasma says, we are only making matters worse by continuing. And Red Guardian says, Captain, please try to understand that Soviet personnel are involved in aggressive action. We fail to allay global fears. We must stop them ourselves. And Cap says, as they're talking on two sides of the fight, we can appreciate that, Guardian, but we are recklessly allowing the water wind the opportunity to accomplish the very goals we both want to prevent. And Red Guardian says, but it was you who attacked us. And Phantasma says, it is too late. We've come too close and they are angry. They feel they've been violated again. Another misdirection, I think. Everyone thinks she's talking about the sub, but I think she's talking about the last page of this story. And they want us to pay for it. And Red Guardian says, Phantasma, what is it? Who? And Cap's like, who's that yelling? What's going on? Turn off my lawn, kids.
Am I on speakerphone?
Can you hear me now? And then we see Stingray's trying to get in the sub, and he says, okay, I'm here, and I'll have to find a way in. Maybe if the launch tubes are still open. Okay, that is an easy way of ingress, but if the sub's about to fire their missiles, could Stingray get, like, crushed by a launching missile?
Torpedo?
Or a torpedo?
That would not be cool.
Yeah.
More like Stingray.
Oh. Smush Dre. He says, then just take out an unknown number of hostile armed terrorists and deactivate any nuclear warheads that may just be lying around waiting to detonate. No wonder I let this costume collect dust in my closet. I was waiting for him to say, yeah, then go in and fight all those terrorists off, an unknown number of terrorists. If I fail, I'm going to die hard. Or no, was this before? I was going to say the whole vessel is under siege. Anyone else see that Steven Seagal movie?
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, if you have, and Matt Cohen is probably going to review it in the month of November.
Oh yeah, all action movie November. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How you holding up for October?
Little mid-October intro. We're doing a podcast review of a horror movie every day, and I have not slept that much, so it's going good. Although we just watched Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell, and oh boy, I think they're trying to be like sci-fi, Sharknado type movies with that, because it seems like they're just bad on purpose. And we watched it all though. But all right, back to the issue.
I just love. He says I haven't slept, probably because they've been staying up late watching movies. But he said that all I could see is like him and his wife laying in bed, and his wife's like, "Matt, it's just a movie. You can go to sleep."
Yeah.
No, I heard a noise.
I'm scared of graboids coming out of my apartment floor. Yeah.
They're under the bed.
Oh man.
All right, so Stingray's trying to find a way into this sub. Then he says, "Wait, that shrill noise, I've heard it before." And then a big blast hits the sub, and Stingray goes flying underwater. He says, "Can't fight the current." And everyone battling stops, and Cersei's like, "What caused that explosion?" And what's his name? Vostok says, "I believe, madam, that the operative term should have been who caused that explosion."
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
our first cliffhanger, he said, "We see in the name of the last remaining people of the city of Atlantis, by proclamation of Tyrak, Murano, and Orca, senior officers in the great Atlantean army, we demand you leave our sovereign land or die."
There we go.
21 hours, 33 minutes, and counting. That's the end of our first story, because there is a backup story.
But I thought Dick Tracy came in and shot the Atlantans after that. Yeah.
Man, he's been showing up in all these Marvel stories recently.
Yeah. He's everywhere. He's like Spider-Man, and when new issues of new characters come out.
Well, yeah, he's gonna face all the supervillains and Warren Beatty them all. I got him to put his head on the desk.
Stingray kind of looks like the Blank, so maybe he was coming in for that. Also, when he got pushed off in that force, I call that when push comes to shovel.
Wow.
Oh. That's why
nice.
That's why I would pay him if we had money, people.
Yeah.
All right, so the backup story, which we'll be getting these the whole time we do these Avengers issues, like we said, and they'll culminate. Both stories will culminate in Avengers 325. So, the Avengers crew.
Yeah.
There's more than two, but they are live.
Me so hungry. That's what it
We serve you long time because this is a Jarvis story.
Yeah.
All right. So, among the first sections of the Avengers' new headquarters complex to be fully operational is the kitchen facility. Well, yeah, I would assume people have to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, does the Vision have to eat? I mean, I don't think he does, right?
Well, food just goes right through him.
You mean he's just a food processor?
He doesn't love anything that Jarvis creates. Yeah. Oh man.
So, Domain of the Avengers, longest term employee, their chief of staff, Major Domo and butler Edwin Jarvis. Every morning from 7 to 8 a.m. as his fellow staff members arrive, Jarvis presides over one of the most exclusive breakfast clubs in the world.
Who's Emilio? Who's
Molly
Anthony
Ringwald.
Michael Hall?
But the story is Rats in the Kitchen, which I find ironic. But some of you might be saying, Quasar's not in this story. Why are you coming out on Quantum Zone? But did you see who wrote this backup?
I did.
Who could that be? Can you tell us?
Mr. Mark Grunwald.
Yeah.
James Frown Petzels. Keith Williams inks. Joe.
Keith Williams will be the inker for Greg Capullo in Quasar number 18 starting. And for about, you see 18 through like 29, 28. I think he does. He's inking for 18 through 28. Maybe skips a few in there, but
the more you know.
The more you know.
So Joe Albello letters and Joe Rosas colors. So completely different team. So I wonder if the team on the main story needed like time because these were bi-week or bi-monthly issue. Well, whatever, twice a month.
Yeah. And they shrunk the length down so they could get because by shortening it by 8 every 3 issues they're saving an issue, right? I guess so. They're so 2 issue. It was 6 parts. They got 2 issues. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So of course they're all eating breakfast, and Jarvis is trying to recommend the brand muffin to Fabian, who just wants another jelly-filled pastry, as Jarvis put it. And Peggy's talking about the new communications room with John Jameson, and she says they're working on it. I can't wait for it to be up and running. And he says, "What's the matter? You don't like running one of the world's most crucial communications operations out of a couple of crates stuck in the corner of the old gymnasium?" She says she manages, but it's nerve-wracking. And then who's that? Is that Michael O'Brien? I could use a refill when you have a moment, Jarvis. I think that's who that is. I was trying to remember, but yeah, I think it is.
I think so. But so Fabian says, "What's on?" After Fabian just got done stuffing his face with donuts, and he says, "What's on the lunch menu, Jarv?" And he said, "I thought I would try this new recipe for crepes, Master Fabian." He says, "Can you make mine peanut butter and bologna?"
Dear Lord.
Is this like a stereotype? Like they're like, "Oh, fat people will eat anything." Yeah.
I don't know, but
maybe they're trying to capitalize on the popularity of the Ninja Turtles. You know, the cartoon. They were always eating really gross toppinged pizzas. You know,
well,
butter and bologna.
They topped it, just like a pizza. And Jarvis is saying, "Spinach will not kill you, sir." And Michael O'Brien saying, "I'm borrowing this box of saltines." And it is Michael O'Brien, because John Jameson says, "Uh-oh, I hear the construction crew out front, Mike. We better let them in."
Yep.
But Peggy actually offers to help wash the dishes, and Jarvis says, "I used to handle everything around here, from cleaning to cooking to communications. I think I could still manage the dishes myself." Miss Peggy, and she says, "Please drop the miss. It sounds too much like Miss Piggy." And he says, "Certainly." And she says, "You don't resent all of us Johnny-come-latelys?" Cap added to the staff, and he says, "Most assuredly not, madam. I truly enjoy the constant companionship." And she says, "Well, the monitors are calling later, Edwin." And then we hear another voice say, "Edwin, Edwin, Edwin." He said, "That voice, it sounds like, 'I'm back, old chap. Old terrors die hard.' And he says, 'Who are you? Come, Edwin. You know who I am. You know me as well as you know yourself.' 'Oh, well, if you insist, I'll say it. I'm the Crimson Cow.'"
I thought it was Orko from Masters of the Universe.
Nice pull from my childhood. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Jarvis says, "No, you can't be the Crimson Cow. It was just a disguise for the robotic Ultron. He just used it once, abandoned it years ago," which I do believe, wasn't it like his first appearance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, he ripped off. He's like, "I'm a robot." But he says, "Now, Edwin, that wasn't all the Crimson Cow was, as you know very well. The Crimson Cow was also the disguise you yourself wore when you betrayed the Avengers." He says, Yes, but Ultron duped me. Stay back. I'm armed." "No, you duped yourself, little man." He says, when your mother needed an operation, you were too proud to ask the Avengers for a salary advance, so you purposely sold them out to Ultron. He says, I didn't know it was him. You, I. Stay back, or I'll blam, and he shoots at him. I mean, thank goodness this isn't someone really pulling a prank, because Jarvis already starts splatting. He said, lets off like one shot there, another 3 more shots. He says, admit it. He makes a noise when the bullets hit, so he's some kind of being. You're a worthless traitor who never should have been forgiven. Admit it. He says, bullets may be protection from thugs and muggers, but you can't kill the truth, can you? Pull off my cow, Edwin. You know whose face you'll see. Do it, you weak, spineless worm. Unmask me. And of course he does, and he sees a version of his own face with 2 eyes, because Jarvis is still wearing the patch.
Yeah.
Yes, it's your face beneath the mask. I'm your guiltiest secret, your greatest fear. You've wanted to kill me for years, haven't you? That part of you willing to sell out your friends for a few pieces of silver, but you can't. I will be with you for as long as you live. And try as you might, you'll never know when the need to betray all those you trust will rise again, dominate you all over again. Try to kill me all you want, Edwin. It's no use. To kill me, you'd have to kill yourself, which come to think of it, may not be such a bad shut up. And Jarvis blasts where his head was, and he disappears. He goes, I killed it. It's gone, blown to bits. Where are the bits? And Michael O'Brien comes in and says, Jarvis, I heard the gunfire down here. What happened? What's wrong? He says, there was a rat down here. I don't know what came over me, Michael. I just started shooting at it and shooting and shooting. So that's where we get the title, Rats in the Kitchen. Jarvis is alive. And next issue, the mystery deepens. I forget which support staff member it is, but yeah, we go through all the support staff members in these backups.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
What do we think? Russian intrigue, Rats in the Kitchen.
Very Cold War. Got a Cold War vibe to it. This was the wall came down 89, so this would have been published.
89, yeah.
This would have been published the next year.
Yeah, less than a year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Berlin Wall for people that aren't as old as I am. So
yeah,
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that ocean.
Yeah, yeah. So Reagan said that, and then it wasn't torn down for 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't say right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall whenever you get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a little fun story that I talk about every day, because in Boston there was the very first section of the Berlin Wall to come to the U.S. that was torn down.
Oh, and cool.
It's in front of this building called Education First. They teach English to kids from around the globe. So we drive past it every day, and I like to ask trivia questions to students if I have a kids group. And one time I asked, and this girl raised her hand with confidence when I asked her what 2 German cities do the Berlin Wall divide, and she's like, Mexico and America.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you should have seen the chaperone's face. He's like, I'm a math teacher. I don't know this kid. I don't know. Yeah. And it was just fun. Like, I mean, I tried to not laugh and say how stupid. I'm just like, no, those are not cities, and they're not in Germany. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Well, what about Mexico City? I've heard of that.
Yeah, I guess.
I was gonna say maybe she didn't hear the word Germany, but yeah, those aren't cities.
Yeah, and there's not a wall that's between
not yet
Mexico and America, and it hasn't been torn down yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, the youth of America, hey, they're our future.
Yeah.
Well, let them lead the way.
Damn millennials.
But and my thoughts on the issue, there's a lot. It's a lot of setup, but it's intriguing. I'm intrigued. It's very unlike the last few Avengers we've read, because it's pretty spaced out, and this is a skeleton crew. They got a not very well known guest kind of filling in Stingray, and then you got their Russian heroes and 2 different types of bad guys. You got the Atlanteans at the very end, and these Russian Peace Corps terrorists. So I'm intrigued. I enjoy the storyline so far, and I'm looking forward to talking.
It only gets busier. I mean, Alpha Flight shows up.
Yeah, I was going to say our Canadian friends haven't even shown up yet.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But yeah, he's right. A lot of setup on this one. It's good to see, Quasar get some screen time, but
yeah.
And he was polite, so that's good. But
yeah.
Like I said, I'd never fly in a plane or a Quinjet or anything ever again, ever in the history of ever.
Yeah, because it wasn't. I guess because it was a lot of setup, but we really didn't see Quasar use his powers except when he put Crimson Dynamo in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a fight scene, but it was like the backdrop of the. Yeah.
Talking over yourself.
Quasar had a fight scene, but it's in the backdrop of Captain America having a conversation, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Why doesn't Cap just say, "Hey, Quasar, quantum bubble that up. Let's put it in orbit, and then we can talk to him and figure all this out, and nobody has to get hurt."
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I mean, you wouldn't have much of a story, but when they got there, why couldn't Quasar just throw a giant bubble around the sub, so even if they shot off like any of the nukes, they'd basically be nuking themselves and no one else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe send it to Mars and show the Blood Brothers what's up.
Nice callback to a previous episode.
Yeah. That's what you get for beating me up. Yeah.
You drop some nukes on your head.
Yeah. But I like where it's going. I like how the backup story plays out. This is a lot of intrigue. Intrigue. Yeah.
So, yes, next episode, we'll get to Avengers 320, part 2 of the Crossing Line and of the Avengers crew. Mm-hmm. All right, so is that it then?
Yeah, I think so, but it feels a little incomplete to me. Because I only mentioned something that's happening in January once, so I feel incomplete.
Let's see. You mentioned the trade. What didn't you? Oh, that's right. We're racing ever closer to January mystery.
Yes, that is it.
Oh my God! Guys, we have to really be on our game in January because we're hyping this thing so much. If this thing isn't like A++, people are gonna be like, "Oh man, all this hype for that."
Yeah.
I'm gonna start cribbing notes against those 4 issues, doing looking up bios and all the characters.
I was gonna say we're gonna need lots of info on all those characters.
Bring in the A game.
All right, so send us your thought. Seriously, Soshin or anyone else, send us your thoughts because we usually get feedback on the Quasar issues, but the Avengers stuff we really don't hear a lot about. So.
Yeah, you'd think that the Avengers, there's bigger brands, the movies and stuff. People are digging into the back issues and stuff. Yeah, come on, let us know what you think about this lineup. How do you feel?
The Facebook group, which I've been kind of traveling the last few days, but I want to get back in there and stir up some conversation too. I know there's been some posts, so that's cool.
Yeah, drop it, real. But so if you want to share your thoughts on this issue or any of the other Avengers stuff coming up, because I was going to say, rest of the year we're covering Avengers up to 325, and then we're going to do those for a couple early appearances, because just in case, if we would have time, we can even record an episode or two, or maybe do 2 in 1 week or something. So yeah. Share your thoughts on all the Avengers issues, Quasar's first appearance, or his early appearances in Captain America and the Hulk, or do you know which 2 cities the Berlin Wall separated? I bet you it's not a young person. So email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/QuantumZonePod, @QuantumZonePod, and @CL Sidekicks on Twitter. Follow CL Sidekicks on the gram. That includes our Quantum Zone stuff and the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Like Quasar wears a cape. All right. Weekly World Traveler. Will, where can people get a hold of you?
You can always find me at the Quantum Zone. I'm at WALLRED on Twitter and Gmail, and you can find my self-published book, Diary of Night, at diaryofnight.com. So take it away, our intrepid October podcaster.
Master of YouTube.
Yes. And hey, join Will's mailing list too, the
Oh.
Midnight Hour. Right?
Yes.
I'm following your Couch to 5K adventures.
Yes.
That's not been so awesome this week because of work, so I'll get into that.
Okay, all right, cool.
I keep seeing those, and I'm like, I should try that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that bad. Okay. Well, I'm chugging my way through October with my wife, Yale and that. Recap stuff is the name of the show. We're doing horror movies to start with. We have some ideas where to branch out in the future after this, but we're really pushing them out there every single day. We're on iTunes now, SoundCloud, as well as YouTube, and we'll post it on Facebook. So you can look me up on Facebook, Matt Kona, MATTKONA. I'm on there too. And if you're listening, and I guess if you're in any, join the Quantum Zone group. But if you're in any Avengers Facebook groups, or you know of any, let us know. Maybe we could post about what we're podcasting in there and get the word out for anyone interested to hear.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go. I mean, say if you know of any Avengers Facebook groups, let me know. But I'll go searching on my own. Great idea, Matt Kona. You're not just a pretty face.
No, he's not. He's the real deal. The real deal.
Yeah.
Yes, people. This show is as fun as it sounds. All right. So, again, join us next time, part 2 of Red October. I mean, the crossing line. Star Trek: The Next Generation meets the Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
I forget what issue does when does Alpha Flight? I know they show up at the end of one issue. Is it next issue or like the one after?
I think it's the next one, but I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. Hang on.
When do we get our Canadian bacon? But yeah, we need Avengers feedback. We never get a lot of feedback for Avengers.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people out there.
Everyone loves the Quays.
End of next issue.
Cool. All right, everyone. Alpha Flight's coming. Mm-hmm. And remember, Quantum Zoners, keep it quantum.